getting close to 1,000 subscribers, so if you want to help me out with that, feel free. Like the video if you do like it. So I think today what I'm going to be doing, so this truck has a fuel cell mounted in the bed, and I have an AN line running down into the bed floor, and it connects to a rubber line, and I just don't like how it looks. It just kind of looks crappy. Me being naive at the time, I never ran an AN line for anything, so I just kind of fixing past mistakes, I guess, or just making it look cleaner. You know, the more you learn, the more you get better at stuff. So this truck, actually, I put the fuel cell in the bed of it because I wanted to run like a true dual exhaust. And the way these trucks have the factory tank ran on them, they're underneath of like the driver's side of the cab into the bed, and it just doesn't leave you any room to have like true duals coming back. And this thing's not really used as like a normal pickup truck, so not, you know, losing the little bit of bed space that's there isn't a huge deal. So we'll get started on that and just fix it up, make it look a bit nicer. Okay, so as you can see, I got an AN line here. It runs down to another AN fitting that's straight, has a fitting that goes, you know, just an adapter, male on each end, and then there's two female fittings here. This female fitting actually is a 90 that goes to just a hose barb. So what I think I'm gonna do is get rid of this, and then I'm gonna run, this is what's called a bulkhead fitting. So this just clamps into here, so that way it's got an AN on the bottom and then one sticking out on the top. So I think I'm gonna run this into there and then run this AN line directly into it, and then maybe just put this 90-degree adapter underneath, so that way it's just kind of hidden and looks cleaner. So start tearing that apart. So just to give you a closer look, so this has got this nut on here, but basically it just clamps around what you're working on. And then I'll give you a closer look up on what we're working with here. So got the 90 coming out of the tank, and then it just runs over down into this. And so as you can see on this, I got that rubber hose, the hose barb, that's a 90. And then here's the fitting that goes male, and then these are the two female fittings. So just gonna take this and go directly to that with the bulkhead fitting going in there. I guess one other thing to mention, so if you're just getting into cars and you've never ran AN line, it's fantastic. It's way better than running hardline. Hardline is just, it's difficult. You have to bend it, make it perfect, and then try and snake it up into whatever you're doing. AN line's really flexible. You can put it wherever you want. It's really easy to run. It's not hard to make. It is kind of expensive initially to get everything. The fittings aren't cheap. But once you get the hose itself and some fittings, it's not hard to make, just a couple lines out of it, and saves you a lot of time, a lot of energy. So if you're anything like me, you like kind of race car stuff, this stuff makes your shit look way racier than it probably should be. So I think it's really cool. I love running AN lines, so I'm definitely wanting to clean this up, make this just look a little bit more professional. I don't even know if this will come off. Yeah, I've never pulled this back off since I've done this. This thing's probably gonna leak, I'm sure of it. There we go. Got a little bit of gas on me, but not horrible. That drain back in there. Nice. Smell like gas now, but at least I got it up. All right. Now they do make specific wrenches just for AN lines that are aluminum. I don't have any. I don't really care that much, so I'm just gonna use just a standard adjustable wrench on it. I also may have to shorten this line up just to make it look right, so we'll see. Try and get all this apart here while I'm at it. Alrighty, got another wrench. See if we can crack this open. The great part about doing this is if you like take a piece of AN off, like this adapter, I probably won't use this. You can just keep it and reuse it. And they never really leak. I mean, they work great. I really like them. So I'll take this guy off. I'll probably use this 90 on the other end of it. Okay, now I gotta go from underneath and try and get that bulkhead fitting in there. Shit. Alright, well I guess now that I'm down here, I gotta rerun the wiring for the fuel pump pickup, and I also have to put this fitting up in the bed. I think I'm just gonna hold it in with a piece of tape so I can put the nut on the top of it. Alright, now I got a fitting, put a piece of tape on it. Get it up there without falling. Let's get tighten that up. That should look way better. Cool. Kind of like to run it like this. So I'm gonna shorten it. I'd like to have it just like that, pretty much. Just run straight down. Maybe put a couple holders right here into the front of the bed. That'd be kind of cool. Just be something different. So I guess if we're gonna shorten this and hold it there, so we'll probably want it cut maybe in here. Because obviously the fitting adds a little bit of length. Go. Yeah, that should work. Now everybody's kind of got their own method of cutting AN line. How I've always kind of done it is I take a piece of electrical tape and wrap it around this, and then I'll cut it with a grinder. Take this tape, give it just a couple of wraps. You don't have to go too crazy on it, just enough that it'll keep it from fraying too much. Cool, looks good. All right, now I got 2 wrenches. We'll see if we can unthread this AN fitting here. Hopefully I can get this out without destroying it. If not, I'm gonna need a new fitting, which would kind of suck. You know what's funny is AN line is basically just fancy rubber hose. Because on the inside of this, that's all it really is. It's just a rubber hose with a steel braided outer lining, or stainless. But cool, looks like we should be able to reuse that. Okay, now the fitting's all the way off. So we'll just go ahead and cut it. Well, apparently I'm an idiot and I didn't get a video of that. But yeah, so I just went ahead and cut it with a grinder. So after you do that, you're gonna wanna make sure you blow the hose out because it will get a bunch of rubber from cutting it. So just do that. You don't want rubber, you know, shards in your fuel line running into your carburetor, even if you do have a filter or anything. One thing I am gonna do to try to avoid being like an idiot, I'm gonna put this line back on here and I'm gonna check the length of it before I put the fitting on in case I need to trim it a little more. I think right where we're at should be pretty good. Yeah, so I think we should be able to just run something on that, put that fitting on there. I think we'll be good there. I think that'll look all right. Okay, here comes the fun part. Putting this collet onto the line. So normally these like to fray out a little. So that's kind of why you want to use the electrical tape. And if you can get this shoved over here, all right, which it looks like we have. Cool, I think we'll be good on that. See if we can peel that electrical tape out of there, make it look a little better. I'm not too worried about it, but. Okay, get it lubed up a little bit. Set it in here, then we'll just run it on in. Sometimes you get lucky on these, you can actually thread them mostly by hand, which this one looks like it's going pretty good so far. All right. Grab our wrenches, and we'll just crank them down. Okay, we got it all the way on there. One thing I like to do is for like fit and finish and just final look, I like to line up the flats of the actual fitting here with the collet that goes on the line. It really just kind of cleans it up, makes it look nicer. Install our line. See, man, once you work with this stuff, how can you not love it? Works so good. There's a reason every race car is filled with this stuff. Cool. I think that should work good. Then we can just put a clamp here to hold it on. I do need to rerun the wire for the fuel tank pickup, but we'll go ahead and tighten the fittings up on this. All right, so now that I'm under here, I get this line ran up. This is just going into that bulkhead fitting in there on the bottom. This is the old 90 that was on that. I kind of like how it's sitting here. I think ideally a straight one would be better for this than you just got 190 instead of this 180, but I think this ought to work okay. All right, well, off camera, I had to lengthen the wires coming up for the sending unit for that. Got it all hooked up. It's zip tied in. I ran a split loom over it, so I kind of cleaned it up a little bit. Okay. Get a closer view of all that. I got all kinds of wiring shit here, but yeah, so I basically ran it up, tied it in with the fuel line, just ran it over so I had some extra wire length here, but tied it into the sending unit. And I had an extra ground on this just to try and make the sending unit read a little more accurate. And also I think at the track that they want you to have a ground on the tank anyways, so I just put it back on, but I think it turned out pretty nice. It looks clean, kind of cleaned up the look of the whole line going in there, and just made it so it's not looping all the way. You know, it used to wrap around the back and come through and have a 90. It just kind of cleaned all that up, so I think that looks a lot better. So on the topic of fuel line and AN, I actually really like this PTFE, so you can run fuel line with it. It's got a Teflon coating on the inside of it. It's good for a lot of high temperatures, all kinds of different fluids and stuff. Vibrant makes a really good one, and they make pretty nice fittings and everything. And then what was this, Red Horse? So this was really cool. I really like this. So on this carburetor, when I was tuning it, every once in a while I'd have to pull it off, change jets, yada yada yada, and it would always like leak fuel out when you're doing that and pulling fuel lines. Well, they make this is called a dry brake fitting, and you just pull this off. Doesn't leak anything, seals it up really nice, so that way you can pull your carburetor off, doesn't leak or nothing. And so it's awesome, man. I think they're kind of expensive, maybe like man, I think I paid like 60 some bucks for this or something maybe, and this is a cheap one by comparison to a lot of the rest of them. But this thing's been awesome, like if you want something like this, oh man, it is so sweet. And all you gotta do is just push it back in, pops right on. It's never leaked any, flows plenty enough fuel. So it's been really, really awesome. I got it ran down to, I got an Edelbrock pump on this truck. It's just a mechanical pump, but this whole setup's been really sweet. I really dig this. So it's worked really well. The other thing I have ran on this truck that is the same PTFE-6AN is the transmission lines. I had them run into a cooler that's in front of the radiator, and it's been fantastic. I originally ran hardline on this truck, and I just was never happy with how they fit, and they didn't look good, and they're a pain in the ass if you're trying to pull the motor out or do transmission or whatever. And so I just said hell with it. So I made a set of TTFE lines that are made by Vibrant, and they've been fantastic. And especially because I have like a pressure adapter for one of them that I actually used for, I have a temperature probe that runs into the transmission line that runs to a gauge, and you can actually see the outlet temperature coming out of the torque converter for the fluid. So that's been really cool. That's been super nice. Yeah, so we're all good on the fuel line on this. So hopefully be out, get some nice weather. You know, do some burnouts, tear up some tires, go do some drag racing, have some fun with this thing here pretty soon. Should be pretty cool, man. I appreciate you guys watching. Like I said, I mean, if you want to subscribe, I really appreciate it. We're pushing on 1,000 subs. You know, get the video seen by some people, you know, maybe like it or whatever, but I'd really appreciate it. Thanks for coming in and watching. I really appreciate it. Hopefully see you next time.